All the February 6th board meeting order. First of all, I'd like to announce that Mr. Minelli will be attending remotely, and our location is 23 Walnut Ave, Cena, New York. And Bill Sheridan will also be doing it remotely as well. He's down in Florida. Here. Here.
Here. Here. Here.
Others? Denisha?
Here.
Perkins?
Here.
Hall?
Here.
Fay?
Here.
Haggard? Here. Webster?
Here.
Burke?
Here.
Jeanette?
Here.
Terminelli? Here.
I'll stand for the prayer. Let's have it. We've been working last week in the tragic accident. Thank you. I'd like to reiterate Mr. Hall's last week comments as well. I'd like to thank the EMS, all volunteers, our emergency service director, the Denner group, everyone involved, the hospital, the MCI. It's the thing you hope you never need. When you do need it, you're glad you got it. And St. Lawrence County should be very glad that we got what we got. Amazing group of people were involved with that. People that brought food afterwards, troopers, everyone. So I just want to, on behalf of myself and this board, I'm sure, make that. So Larry, if you lead us in prayer.
Chairman. Your Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to gather here this evening. Father, we ask that you grant us wisdom and strength in our deliberations and decision-making. Wisdom and strength that only you can provide. Father, we ask that you grant us the ability to embrace our differences so that we may be able to work together in unity. Too often, we find ourselves so consumed with our individual perceptions and bias that we are unable or unwilling to entertain ideas that differ from our own. Father, we ask that you grant us the strength to be eternally thankful for the blessings you have bestowed upon us individually and as a nation. Scripture in the words of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 21, reminds us that, and I quote, "Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, 'This is the way, walk in it.'" When our evening's work has been completed, we ask that you grant us all a safe journey home. Father, we also ask for your guidance for the unfortunate circumstances in Turkey and Syria with a number of folks that have been injured, displaced, and have lost their lives. For all these things, we give praise to you and seek your blessing through your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ, in whose name all things are possible.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, with liberty and justice.
Available for your laptops that are coming up through the desk where the microphone cords come up through. You want to make sure that your laptops stay charged for the duration of the meeting. So those are in addition to the ones you can keep, the ones came with it at home. And lastly, much like I am right now, please be mindful to speak into your microphone. Folks that were listening the last couple of weeks had difficulty hearing. So if you activate your microphone and speak clearly into it, that will help our permanent record as well. Thank you.
Do I have a motion for the approval of the agenda? By Mr. Perkins, second by Mr. Denisha, and Mr. Knapp. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Approval of the minutes of January 3rd. Have a motion. Mr. Perkins. Mrs. Haggard. Any discussion of the minute? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Communications, Kelly, again.
An email was received from Lauren Freya Governor saying the CARE Act was reintroduced into New York State Legislature on January 30th, 2023. She formally requested Board of Legislators support the bill and write a resolution taking action on 10.3158. Email was received. Like each member of the board to read the CARE Act and vocalize their support for its passage by sending a resolution to the governor. The email was received from April Scotia of saying she's a resident of County mandated reporter. The Board of Legislators to take formal written action.
Now to citizen participation. Any citizen wanting to address the board is asked to stand at the microphone, state their name before beginning. The citizen participation will be in the form of an oral address directed to the members of the board. And this part of the agenda is not a time for audio, visual, or PowerPoint presentations. The address will be limited to 5 minutes. First one is Peggy Musa.
Hey, my name is Becky Musa. I live in Colton. I see a lot of familiar faces here tonight. I'm here tonight because the real property office has a software called Imaging is budget for $800. Maybe combined with other software to charge out by the line item. There's an offset revenue of $7,000 in the budget copy or charges for that software. And 44 counties in New York State that use ImageMate, except for St. Lawrence County, every other county provides it to the public. What ImageMate is, it's just a software that any person in or out of the county can go onto that software online. They can look up the property inventory value of any property in the county. You can go look up your neighbor, you can go look up your legislators, you can look up your municipal officers, you can look up anybody's. How the assessor can determine the how many values, how much land, etc. What even counties are the 62 counties of New York State. The other counties also offer a software similar to ImageMate, even though it's not ImageMate. It's a similar software. And in the 62 counties, 60 of them offer it to the public sector. There's only 2 counties that don't. Delaware County, because they don't have compatible software, and St. Lawrence County. I called all 62 counties to verify this that was available to the public. St. Lawrence County currently, and Bruce, please correct me if I'm wrong. In St. Lawrence County, you have to fill out an application. You can fill out the application and get a 10-day free trial period, which I believe is only offered one time. Or you can fill out an application and pay $300 as an annual fee to use that software. As a finance person myself, the fee is already being charged to the taxpayers as part of the real property budget. To charge somebody a fee again to use software, they're already being charged as part of the real property budget. So it's something that I would ask you to reconsider. In the beginning of January, I sent out an email. I tried to most of the legislators. I kind of had to guess the email addresses because I couldn't find them online anyplace. With 10 pages of documentation. I listed out all the counties that actually have to be one. I listed out all the counties, what software they have, and if they offer it free or not. I also wrote up the pros and cons of it. What's it going to cost St. Lawrence County to change that from the current process to being free? Basically, they have to contact ImageMate, or they can probably do it themselves and set up a user ID. All the other counties pretty much use user ID is public, password is public, and you can go in and check the software. I even provided examples from other counties that use it, how they log in, what the requirements are for them to use ImageMate. The reason that I'm here tonight is because of the fact that we're coming into March first is basically the end of the physical inventory for assessments. So any changes that have been made up to March first, that's the recording date. Then the assessor has from March first until May first to get their rules updated and get everything ready for the next assessment cycle or tax bill cycle. So May first, the rule gets set, and then the fourth Tuesday typically of May is when people can go read their assessments. If this software is made available to the public, people in the convenience of their own home can sit down and look up and provide actual factual information to go to grievance with. The process right now is either people don't know about it, they have to go to their local municipality and their local assessor and have the assessor do it. And then they have to pay roughly 25 cents a copy to have anything printed out, which is basically the same process as the real property office. I believe real property has 2 free computers up front that you can look that up with, but you have to pay 25 cents a page to get that information for anybody who wants to look up. A typical property inventory value assessment is 2 pages front and back. So everybody's property that you want to use for a comparative will cost you probably at least 50 cents. Most people don't even know that you can go to real property and do that. So what would it cost the county? They'd have to set up a public user, a public password. They'd have to post it on the county website that is available to the public. And except for maybe a firewall issue with ImageMate, which I'm sure they pretty much have already because all the assessors use our software. It really isn't all the cost of the county except those. If you have any answer any questions, if anybody has them, and I'll give this 10 pages to Kelly.
Thank you. I'm very.
I would like to call the legislators' attention to some facts regarding the coastal section of the St. Lawrence County multi-use recreational trail system. A series of meetings regarding the trail system have been taking place, for which the town of Colton has been billed because the town attorney attends these meetings. Neither the majority of the town board nor the citizen taxpayers of Colton have any idea about what is going on at these meetings. All the board knows for sure is that we are presented with the bills from the attorney. For example, among other invoices too numerous to mention now, on 9/19/22, telephone call from Supervisor Roberts, thus to discuss scheduling a public hearing for opening town roads to UTV and ATV travel. Teleconference with county attorney to discuss multi-purpose trail options and procedure, as well as town roads for ATVs and UTVs. Telephone call to town hall and spoke to town clerk to advise not to schedule a public hearing on opening town roads for UTV and ATV use. Cost to Colton $122.50. On 10/19/22, traveled to Canton and participated in meeting at county building with Supervisor Roberts, county attorney, and other interested parties to discuss progress in creating multipurpose trail and the need for town community connector section. Cost to Colton $711.25. It seems that some interested parties are planning to have the town of Colton open Morgan Road, a section of Windmill Road, and a section of Cold Brook Drive to ATV traffic. I would like to point out to the legislators that even if these roads were opened to such traffic, the Parishville and the South Colton sections of the trail system would still not be connected, given that there is a quarter-mile section of state highway, specifically State Highway 56, between Windmill Road and Cold Brook Drive. As far as I know, no inquiry has been made to the New York State Department of Transportation to ascertain whether there is any possibility of opening to ATV traffic this section of the highway. Traditionally, the Department of Transportation has been very reluctant, for safety reasons, to open long portions of state highways for such use. For example, the section of State Highway 72 containing the bridge in Parishville is not open to ATV traffic, though opening it would join the Hopkinton and Browns Bridge sections of the trail. The connection between the Parrishville and South Colton sections of the trail needs to be effective. And if the state will not open State Highway 56, and it seems very unlikely that it will, a different connective segment needs to be projected and completed. Given that the citizen taxpayers of the town of Colton have so far footed the bill for the meetings of the aforementioned interested parties, it seems reasonable to assume that the same citizen taxpayers will be responsible for the legal fees associated with researching and writing local laws opening town roads to ATVs, as well as for the legal fees associated with challenging the Article 78 proceedings that will almost certainly be initiated as they have been in the past. This means a series of costly legal battles lasting for years, at the end of which the trail users, for whose benefit this is all supposedly being done, will find themselves in the same position they are today, with no connection between the Parrishville and South Colton trails. And given that the citizen taxpayers are forced, with the threat of expropriation, to pay a possession tax on their homes, they should at least be entitled to a guarantee that the money that is exacted from them in this way be used wisely, prudently, and responsibly, and for projects that have a reasonable possibility of success.
Any others? Earlier today, to find out about January 27th. And being as speedy as we are, they have this certificate of recognition. In recognition for excellence and outstanding service, and appreciation for 20 years of dedicated service to St. Lawrence County, you have earned the respect and appreciation of your peers, as well as the gratitude of the county administration and the citizens of St. Lawrence County that you so dutifully serve. And whereas we have received this certificate, I can read it.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Why did you go on 6?
Where are you gonna get it? Being that I've been here the longest as far as board members, I was asked if I wanted to say a few words, and I will. And they consist of this, is that I've got to say that it has been a great pleasure working for you since I came on the board in 2009. You were here, you were then the right-hand person to the then county administrator. You were the one that was relied upon heavily by that county administrator. Boom, boom. Ruth, will you get that? Ruth, can you get that? And you would leave the room, you'd come back, and you had the answer. Now you sort of graduated, you don't have to leave the room. You've got the answers right up here to just about anything that we ask you. And I've got to say, I don't know how you do that, but it is certainly something that this board very much appreciates. Your knowledge, your devotion, and your dedication to not only the board, but to the people of St. Lawrence County. You are innovative in the things that you bring to this board. We don't always agree with them, but when you present them, they're well thought out, they're well presented, and usually they're well received. And I got to say that the ones that aren't, probably because we didn't look into it deep enough to come up with a cogent argument against it. So Ruth, I gotta say, I hope you're here with the county for many more years to come. It's certainly been a pleasure working with you and for you. And I hope that you feel the same way about us, and I think you do. The one thing that is really impressive about you is, and I relate this to myself, not to anybody else, is I can walk in your office and have a conversation with you. We can disagree. And once the conversation is over and a decision is made, that it's all over. There's never any, I don't want to say backstabbing, but you know what I mean. So please keep up the good work and keep us in mind. We're the 15 experts on all matters out here, and we rely heavily on you to keep us in line. Thank you.
Elongated. Anyone else want to say anything quick? I know I do.
You didn't tell me that I had to keep time limit now.
I've known Ruth since 2007. She was in the office as the assistant, worked with, can't remember who you were, talked about Circle, yeah. And she's always been a treat. She's a pleasure. I've known her family, dad, years. I told you day one, I got your back, I would pay your back. And I appreciate it. Thank you. All right.
Can the public speak? About Ms. Doyle?
If you would. You can't talk her up any better than I talked her up in Messina the other day. I tell you right now. Yes, if you'd like that, yeah.
I met Ms. Doyle at the meetings about a year ago. I didn't know the lady, knew her very little. Everything that Mr. Lightfoot said is true. I saw the lady in action when there was problems with social services. I approached her. She never backed up. She was right on the money. There's not enough good things to say about her. I was wondering what she was like. I did a little research, extremely impressive, and you stand up for who you are. Ms. Doyle, thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me interject.
I'll speak as a newer member, only having been on since July of 2020. And for me, this has been a learning experience. And what I find commendable in Ruth is your patience in dealing with people that have a lot to learn, as I do. And you have all of this knowledge and grasp of things, as Joe said, but you're patient when we don't understand, and you explain things and you go over it, and you don't seem to get frustrated, but you're patient and willing to help us learn and grow. And so I appreciate that very much.
Okay, good. Now we'll move on to presentation resolutions. First resolution is current.
I offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for the sheriff's office for overtime expense at the correctional facility.
And is there a second? Perkins, Matt? Discussion. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
We'll call vote.
Aye. Reagan,
Aye.
Forsythe,
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Tanisha,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Hank,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Webster,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
14 yes.
Okay, next resolution, Ms. Kern.
I offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign an intergovernmental agreement between the New York State Office of Information Technology Services and the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for the provision of endpoint detection and response services.
Is there a second to the motion? Mr. Jeanette? Any discussion? Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Stanley Convergent Security Solutions, Inc. for installation of software and support services for St. Lawrence County.
Is there a second? Mr. Jeanette? Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Curran?
I have a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a federal equitable sharing program agreement and annual certification report.
Is there a second? Mr. Jeanette? Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Ms. Curran?
I have a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a lease agreement with the town of Messina for storage of trailers for the hazardous materials response team at the Messina International Airport and modifying the 2023 budget for emergency services.
Is there a second? In pay? Any discussion? It's a roll call
Kern? Yes. Reagan?
Yes.
Forsythe?
vote? Yes.
Lightfoot?
Yes.
Sheridan?
Yes.
Smithers?
Yes.
Denisha?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Paul? Hay?
Yes.
Haggard?
Yes.
Webster?
Yes.
Burke?
Yes.
Jeanette?
Yes.
14 yes.
Carried. Mr. Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to offer a motion authorizing the chair to sign an agreement with Clifton Pines Central School District for space located within the district.
Is there a second by Mr. Denisha, Mr. Jeanette? Ms. Curran? Mr. Smith, or is that a question? Do you have a question?
Comment.
Go ahead.
I think this is a great move. It's innovative and increases our ability to serve the people of St. Lawrence County. So the satellite offices in Ogdensburg and working on one in Messina, this this shows some creativity and desire to improve things. And I think is just a great move.
Thank you. Anyone else? No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Call.
Chair, I'd like to offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for social services for costs associated with administration, Medicaid, and child care foster care.
Is there a second? And Ms. Curran and Mr. Jeanette? Discussion. No discussion, it's a roll call vote.
Reagan?
Yes.
Forsythe?
Yes.
Lightfoot?
Yes.
Sheridan?
Yes.
Smithers?
Yes.
Denisha?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Paul? Hay?
Yes.
Haggard?
Yes.
Webster?
Yes.
Burke?
Yes.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Curran? Aye. 14 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Mr. Hall?
To offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for community services for funding from Oasis SAPT Block Grant Comprehensive Integrated Outpatient Treatment Program Fund.
And I need a second. Mr. Perkins, and Ms. Curran? Any discussion? No discussion, roll call vote, please.
Forsythe?
Yes.
Lightfoot?
Yes.
Sheridan?
Yes.
Smithers?
Yes.
Yes.
Paul? Hay? Yes. Webster? Jeanette? Aye. Reagan?
Yes.
14 yes, 1 absent.
Carried. Mr. Hall?
Chair, I'd like to offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign the St. Lawrence County Stop PWI 2023 plan for the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
Is there a second? Ms. Curran, Mr. Perkins? Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Hall?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Epic Health Solutions LLC for review of billing practices in community services.
In a second, Mr. Perkins, Ms. Kern. Any discussion? Ms. Kern?
So I feel like some of this training should have come with our initial purchase. And I think there was some of it. I hope we're not paying again for something that they should have given us the first time.
We're good. Any other discussion? John, go ahead.
I think Epic is different than 9/11 or whatever we signed with. So Epic was here with us before and did a very good job. They're well. So I don't think it's a repeat necessarily having Epic. And I agree with it would be nice.
Anyone else? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Mr. Hall.
Offer a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Coordinated Care Services Incorporated for the preparation of the 2022 consolidated fiscal report.
And a second, Ms. Kern. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for community services for funding received from New York State Office of Mental Health to St. Lawrence County as pass-through funding to approved agencies.
And is there a second? Ms. Kern. Any discussion? It's a roll call
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Tanisha,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Paul.
Aye.
May.
Yeah.
Hager. Yes. Webster. Burke.
Yes.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Curran. Aye. Reagan.
Yes.
Forsythe.
Yes.
14 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Mr. Hall.
Chair, resolution. Sign a contract with Beacon Health Hospital and its subsidiaries for behavioral health provider services.
In a second. Mr. Jeanette, Mr. Fay. Any discuss, Mr. Lightfoot.
Just a question. I'm reading through this, and it is very light on exactly what this organization is going to do. It says as it has its primary objective to arrange for and facilitate the provision of and delivery of covered services to members through its contractual arrangements. Neither is there any amount of money attached to it. And I guess what I'm looking for is a little bit of documentation as to what these folks are going to do for us and what it's going to cost.
My understanding is there is no cost associated with Run Beacon Health, correct? That's the question. And, okay, so I believe Jay is joining us to provide a little more explanation to you. I think this potentially is one contract or one like contract you'll see more of, trying to get more of these contracts updated with the county. You having trouble?
For whatever reason, I can't start my video, but
Can hear you, Jay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
so this is simply one of the, insurance payers that we're striving to be in network for, so that we can get reimbursed, and the individuals in our community that have this insurance will not have to incur additional fees for out-of-network cost. So in terms of how much this contract is going to yield really depends on the number of individuals that have this payer plan and how many times they utilize the services with the community services.
That's satisfying.
Yes, it'll do.
Any other questions? No more questions? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Hall,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer a resolution modifying the 2022 budget for the Public Health Department for the preschool program.
is there a second? Ms. Curran? Any discussion? Discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Paul. Hay.
Yes.
Hager.
Yes.
Webster.
Yes.
Burke.
Yes.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Curran. Aye. Reagan.
Aye.
Forsythe.
Yes.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
14 yes.
Motion carried. Mr. Hall,
I'd like to offer the resolution modifying the 2022 budget for the Public Health Department for epidemiology and laboratory capacity reopening schools grant.
is there a second? Mr. Perkins, Mr. Jeanette, Ms. Curran. Discussion, resolution. For discussion, roll call vote, please. Curran.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Paul.
Aye.
Hay.
Yes.
Hager.
Yes.
Webster.
Aye.
Burke.
Yes.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Curran. Aye. Reagan.
Aye.
Forsythe.
Yes.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
14 yes. 1 abstain.
Mr. Hall,
Chair, I'd like to offer the resolution accepting performance incentive achievement award funds and modifying the 2023 budget for the Public Health Department.
and is there a second? Mr. Fay, Mr. Perkins, any discussion? No discussion, once again, roll call vote.
Denisha.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Paul.
Aye.
Hay.
Yes.
Hager.
Yes.
Webster.
Yes.
Burke.
Yes.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Curran. Aye. Reagan.
Aye.
Forsythe.
Yes.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Smithers.
Yes.
14 yes. 1 abstain.
Motion carried. Mr. Hall,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to offer a resolution opposing regulations that will set aside the first round of retail licenses for marijuana dispensaries to those previously convicted of marijuana offenses as proposed by the Cannabis Control Board of New York State. And Mr. Chair, if I would like to request that we recognize Legislator Webster to initiate the discussion.
okay, you'd like to second it, Mr. Webster?
Yes.
Susan? Any discussion? Mr. Webster?
First of all, I'd like to say I've never seen such a bad decision or a waste of money or discrimination entirely. Somehow the governor found $200 million to give to previously incarcerated inmates to open up dispensaries. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it pretty much just speaks for itself.
Thank you. Ms. Curran?
I'd like to be added as co-sponsor to this resolution, please.
Certainly.
And I would like to say, echo what Mr. Webster had to say. I just think at a time when her budget initiative is to take $300 and some million of federal funding for Medicaid away. We've got $200 million to give to criminals. I don't think that is what should be done with taxpayer dollars.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
As this resolution points out, it discriminates against law-abiding citizens. That just seems so wrong. So thank you for bringing this up. It's just wrong all the way from right beginning to end.
3-1. Thank you. Going out. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Staggered. Noted, Ms. Staggered. Motion passed. Next resolution, Mr. Jeanette.
Mr. Chair, resolution is for authorizing entering into a cooperative agreement with Franklin County Highway Department for the purchase of road salt through the 2023-2024 St. Lawrence County salt bid.
Second, by Mr. Denisha, Mr. Lightfoot, and Ms. Curran. Any discussion? Mr. Denisha.
Yeah, I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Chambers, because this is something that he has done for the last 2 years, and it's saved St. Lawrence County a lot of money.
Mr. Snyder.
I'd just also like to point out that this resolution derives from the actions in Albany to mandate county purchase road salt produced in the United States and not allowing county to purchase road salt as it has done in the past from other places like our neighbor country, Canada. And this is going to have a financial effect on Ogdensburg at the port, and it's going to increase prices. Understandably, it was brought forth by the legislators over in the western part of the state where they have a salt mine. So they're protecting or promoting their own interests. Governor, as you know, is from Buffalo, so she's getting favorable points there. I was surprised to learn that one of our legislators, Walzett, co-sponsored this. So I would hope that we would let him know that we're not happy with him for doing that.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Mr. Chair. Resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a contract with the United States Department of Agricultural, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, Wildlife Services to mitigate damage to roadways in St. Lawrence County caused by beaver.
Is there a second? Mr. Curran, Ms. Curran, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Chair. Resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign and award a contract for the installation of generators and automated transfer switches in the Lisbon, Russell, and Potsdam outposts.
Seconded by Mr. Lightfoot, Ms. Curran. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Mr. Chair, this resolution is for authorizing the Department of Highways to assist the St. Lawrence County Snowmobile Association install a temporary snowmobile bridge on LaFavor Road over Elm Creek.
Seconded by Mr. Denisha, Mr. Perkins, Ms. Curran. Any discussion? Like, thank you to Don Chambers again. Stepping up, coming up with a temporary bridge, maybe a permanent bridge, but it's just extraordinary. Yeah, thank you. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Do not.
Mr. Chair, this resolution is authorizing the forgiveness of interest, penalties, and certain fees on the property known as the property of Frederick and Melinda Goss, located at 9435 State Highway 37, Ogdensburg, New York, in the town of Lisbon.
And is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Curran. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Do not.
Mr. Chair, resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Jetta Environmental Services and AAC Contracting for the controlled demolition on properties owned by Christine and Jonathan Capone, Carmine Barbara, Dennis Edwards and Tammy Groves, Trevor Harris and Patrick Murphy, pursuant to the St. Lawrence County Blighted Residential Property Program.
And is there a second? By Mr. Denisha, Ms. Curran, any discussion? Discussion on the resolution, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Do not.
Mr. Chair, this resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Atlantic Testing Laboratories for air monitoring for controlled demolition on the properties owned by Christina Jonathan Capone, Carmen Barbara State, Dennis Edwards and Tammy Groves, Trevor Harris and Patrick Murphy, pursuant to the St. Lawrence County Blighted Residential Property Program.
Seconded by Mr. Perkins, Mr. Denisha, and Ms. Curran. Any discussion on the resolution? No discussion, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Mr. Chair, this resolution is for modifying the 2022 budget for the Treasurer's Office for additional sales tax distribution.
And is there a second? Ms. Curran, Mr. Perkins? Any discussion? No discussion, this is a roll call.
Perkins,
Yes.
Paul. Hay.
Yes.
Haggard,
Yes.
Webster. Burke, Jeanette,
Aye.
Curran. Aye. Reagan,
Yes.
Forsythe,
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
14 yes.
Carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution for authorizing the chair to sign a contract for funding from Oasis Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment SAPT Block Grant Program, modifying the 2023 budget for community services.
Seconded by Mr. Burke and Ms. Curran. Any discussion? No discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Paul. Hay,
Yes.
Yes.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes.
Yes.
14 yes, one
Mr. Jeanette.
Mr. Chair, this resolution is for establishing the budget for the New York Zion Initiative.
There's a second. Ms. Curran. Mr. Fay. Any discussion on the resolution? All in favor of the?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution is for urging state legislative leaders to focus their property tax relief efforts on fiscal reforms that will lead to permanent property tax reduction by assuming the cost of state programs currently paid by counties.
Seconded by Ms. Curran, Mr. Perkins, and Mr. Denisha. Perkins, did you want to talk to this one?
Well, I think the resolution speaks for itself, but so does our state budget. They're already putting undue costs on the county with this budget. $3 million just in the Medicaid from the federal Medicaid pass-through funds that the state believe they're going to keep for themselves. Me, I believe they're weak. They're taking the easy way out. If they could be strong, they would fight to see what they can do to actually help the taxpayers of New York State. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Curran.
I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor on this, and I would say that, you know, our biggest problem that we have in New York State, besides crime due to bad legislation, is we have a big spending problem in Albany. And I hope that they look at that and not just spend future generations' money.
Any other discussion? More discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for calling upon the New York State Public Service Commission to grant the application for Re-Energy Holdings LLC for designation of a biomass facility at Fort Drum Military Installation as a renewable energy source.
Seconded, Ms. Curran, Mr. Perkins, Mr. Burke, Webster, Mr. Fay, Mr. Paul, Mr. Ray. Mr. Denisha. Any discussion? Mr. Denisha.
Sure. I had asked in committee if I could be added as a co-sponsor to this bill. I would still like to.
Yeah. Mr.
I was pleased to see that our US Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is going to try to convince the governor to designate the biomass facility as renewable energy. And I would hope that she and others, and we can also try to urge our other US Senator to do the same thing.
Thank you, Ms. Curran.
I would like to be added as a co-sponsor if I could. Appreciate that. Trees are very renewable. They kind of do it on their own. We don't even need to coax them.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Carried. Did you not?
Mr. Chair, this resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign contracts to appropriate American Rescue Plan Act funds for the purpose of funding water and sewer infrastructure projects to the municipalities of Brazier, Canton, Clifton, Colton, DeKalb, Herman, Hubleton, Lisbon, Louisville, Madrid, Ogdensburg, Parrishville, and modifying the 2023 budget for the planning office.
Would there be a second anywhere amongst us? Mr. Denise, Ms. Curran, Ms. Clayton, Ms. Gay. Any discussion? Mr. Denise first. Ms. Curran.
Sure. I'm pleased to be our funding the way we're distributing it. You know, when we first learned that we were going to get the $1 million, there were a lot of folks that had their hands out. And I publicly stated that I wanted to see the money go across the broad spectrum. Where it's going to do the most benefit for the greatest number of people within the same. And to look at the things that we spent the money on. And this is just another segment of that, $3 million that is going to be spread across the county. Three of the municipalities that I represent have received in total over $500,000. That's significant. And I think the board for support.
Ms. Curran.
I would like to be added as a co-sponsor, and I think it's wonderful. Clean water for our constituents and their families and children are one of the best things we can contribute to.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No more discussion, this is roll call vote.
Yes.
Haggard,
Yes.
Webster,
Aye.
Burke,
Yes.
Jeanette,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Reagan,
Aye.
Forsythe,
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes.
Yes.
Paul. Virginia.
Did you not?
Chair, this resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Civic Plus LLC for an agenda and meeting management software platform and modifying the 2023 budget for the county administrator's office.
Is there a second? Mr. Burke. Ms. Curran. Any discussion? No discussion? This is roll call vote.
Haggard,
Yes.
Webster. Jeanette,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Reagan,
Aye.
Forsythe,
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes.
Burkhead.
Yes.
Paul. Peg,
Yes.
14 yes.
Did you not?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for modifying the 2022 budget for the county administrator's office for costs associated with community college tuition.
Seconded by Ms. Curran. Any discussion? No discussion, roll call vote again.
Webster. Jeanette,
Aye. Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Hager.
Yes.
Mr. Jeanette.
Mr. Chair, this resolution is for modifying the 2022 budget for the county administrator's office for funds awarded for the snowmobile trail grant.
And is there a second? Mr. Denisha, Mr. Perkins, Ms. Kern, Mr. Webster. Any discussion?
Jeanette.
I,
Reagan,
Aye. Yes.
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 Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes.
Paul. Hey. Hager,
Yes.
Webster. 14 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for modifying the 2022 budget for the assigned council program costs.
Is there a second? Ms. Kern? Any discussion? Call vote.
Jeanette.
Aye.
I,
Reagan,
Aye. Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Hey. Hager,
Yes.
Webster. Burke.
Yes.
14 yes, 1
Jeanette.
Mr. Chair, this resolution is for requesting the New York State Legislator and Governor to adopt legislation to permit the St. Lawrence County Home Rule to extend the sales tax rate as previously authorized from 3% to 4%.
And is there a second? Mr. Burke, Perkins, Ms. Kern? Any discussion? Mr. Smithers?
Am I correct that this was proposed as part of the governor's budget? From information from NICEAC that this would become a permanent legislation in the future.
Well,
As has been presented in previous executive budgets, there's a request to include that. So this resolution, one of the whereas is written such that if permanent local home rule isn't granted, that this request be considered.
any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
This resolution is for modifying the 2022 budget for the public capital renovation project in the county administrator's office.
Second, by Mr. Lightfoot and Ms. Kern. Any discussion? No discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Kern. Aye. Reagan,
Aye.
Forsythe,
Yes.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers,
Yes.
Denisha,
Yes. Yes.
Hey. Hager. Burke.
Aye.
14 yes.
John, do you want, Mr. Burke, you want to do this one?
For a resolution authorizing.
Is there a second? By Mr. Jeanette. Kern, any discussion? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Reagan, did you want to read the next resolution? Please.
Certainly, Mr. Chair, I'd like to introduce a resolution reappointing the St. Lawrence County historian and call for its adoption.
Seconded by Mr. Lightfoot, Mr. Nation, Ms. Kern. Any discussion? Rick,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to commend Nancy LaFever, our county historian, on all of the hard work that she's been doing on the county's behalf. She has proven to be a tireless worker for the county, and we do appreciate everything you're doing, Nancy, and we hope this resolution indicates to you that we do appreciate it.
any other discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Nation.
Sure. I just want to echo what Mr. Reagan said. Within the last couple of weeks, I've had an opportunity to speak to 3 historians within my district, one in town Canton, which they've got a great space, and she gives you a lot of kudos for helping with that. Talked with the historian from Herman, and also with the historian from Kelly. And nothing but praise, and continue to do good things, Nancy. So happy that you're going to be reappointed.
Anyone else? Keep the way you do. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ms. Curran,
Chairman, I have a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a Mitel software assurance licensing agreement for telephone infrastructure with Twin State Technologies for 2023.
is there a second? And Mr. Burke, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Reagan,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to introduce a resolution proclaiming the month of February 2023 as Black History Month in St. Lawrence County. And I move to thank you.
seconded by Mr. Lightfoot. Any discussion? Any no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Yes, I'll do this. Offer a resolution authorizing the board of legislators to purchase previously used iPads from St. Lawrence County. And is there a second? And Mr. Lightfoot and Ms. Curran. Is there any discussion? Who would you like to check on?
St. Lawrence County.
Or- Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Reagan,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to propose a resolution supporting the reenactment of the Battle of Ogdensburg and move that we support it.
is there a second? And Mr. Byrd, Ms. Curran, Mr. Perkins, Ms. Lightfoot, Ms. Taggart. Discussion. Okay, Mr. Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As has been discussed in this room in the past, last year, the governor and the state legislature, in their mistaken efforts to do what they call gun control, they passed another in a series of overbroad, poorly thought out resolutions, which are having unintended consequences. And across the state of New York, many communities that hold historic reenactments have been faced with a great deal of uncertainty among the groups that participate in these events, who are concerned that if they do participate in reenacting important moments in American history, that they will be prosecuted, their muskets seized, for firing black powder, much like fireworks. This was, from what I've been told and from what I've heard from the state level and from the governor, this was never the intent of that legislation. Just it was never the intent to ban veterans groups from firing 21 gun salutes in cemeteries to honor our veterans. This resolution is to urge the reenactors, the groups of reenactors from both Southern Canada, Quebec, and New York, and across the northeastern United States to come to Ogdensburg the weekend of February 18th and 19th to celebrate and reenact the Battle of Ogdensburg. For many people, seeing the reenactors actually walk, marching through the streets of Ogdensburg with bayonets and muskets and watching cannons fired right in the downtown area and right in the midst of the community is a way to understand what actually happened back in 1813 when a small outnumbered group of Americans stood their ground and fought to preserve their community from the British invader. This resolution says from the St. Lawrence County Legislature that this kind of event, this particular event, and historical reenactments across the state of New York are important events, and we want them to come back. We want them to participate. We want to celebrate our history. We think our history is important, and we hope that this will serve to remind those in Albany to fulfill their promise to redraw the language so that there's no confusion, so there's no mistake that New York State celebrates its history, cares about its history, and wants future generations to be aware of our history. And we have been, the law enforcement community has made it very clear they have no desire to prosecute or to harass or to bother the reenactment events of this sort. And we just want to show our support so that the reenactors from across the Northeast and Southern Canada return to and help people remember their history. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay,
I'd like to recognize Judy Ryan, who passed away this past week, who worked very hard with this group and as a legislator. I think we all at one point in time got a letter from her to ask for support.
Mr. Paul.
Chair, I would request that it be added as a co-sponsor.
Any other discussion? Ms. Curran?
I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor. What we don't learn from history, we're destined to repeat.
You should bring it forward, Mr. Hagan. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Carried. Ms. Curran?
Mr. Chair, I have a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Inbor Inc. to provide sublocade for the correctional facility.
And is there a second by Mr. Burke? Any discussion? Resolution. No discussion? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Yeah, next, again. Reappoint the administrator, Bruce Doyle. Let's see, second. Don't want to get. Any comment, any discussion? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you for all you do. County Administrator's report.
I want to start by saying thank you very much for the kind words earlier this evening and for the vote to authorize my third term as your administrator. I'm humbled by your recognition, grateful for your trust, and excited to continue working hard for my 15 bosses and the people of the best county there is. So thank you very much. Good news front, we have last week, February 2nd, finally, we received $810,597 from NYPA to correct the road activity that was damaged during Smart Path. We're grateful to have those funds. They were moved directly into the county road fund. We will schedule, many of you may recall, for a number of months during the Smart Path project, about every 6 months on that cadence, we would meet to hear a project update from NYPA. They now are both moving toward Lewis County, but also beginning the Smart Path Connect project. So we will return to that and schedule, I'm hopeful within the next 30 days, a meeting, both virtual and in person, that you can attend to get an update on their project work. The reporting required for ARPA was complete by the deadline of January 31st. As you all know, all 20.9 million have been committed. Currently, we have expended $931,473.62. But we've obligated the 3.92 million by contract, and that will then also be added, the 2.9 committed this evening for the next quarter. So we're keeping up with those obligations as well. On your desks this evening, there is a 5x7 photo of the full Board of Legislators that was taken at the swearing-in ceremony. Compliments of Chris Lenny at the Watertown Times. We've also framed this photograph and it's on display in the Board of Legislators office. So that is for you to take with you. Also, the forms for authorizing the contribution to the Employee Recognition Fund are on your desk. If you would take a look at those, authorize the amount and sign off on those. We'll get those returned to payroll because they have not started any contribution. If you were enrolled previously, that first paycheck, which included December, was withdrawn, but there's been none until these authorizations are provided. And thank you also for continuing that program. Last week, as we had discussed, Ruth Green and I attended the town supervisor meeting hosted by the town of Potsdam. We presented on chargebacks related to the town and county tax bill. I believe we were very well received and answered questions. We also will continue sharing some information with them. I think we've clarified some concerns and confusion, as well as offered new information to them about our chargeback process. So we're grateful to have that invitation. The chief medical officer from Oasis was on site with representatives, both our regional representative, as well as another staff member, to visit the community services department last week, but also more specifically to visit the opioid treatment program clinic space, and we're very impressed. I joined them for the tour. They were very impressed both with the cleanliness and the efficiency of the setup of that location. And I believe we'll remain in contact utilizing our county as a model for others who are moving in this direction. Wanted to give an update just briefly on the ImageMate Online. We were able to provide this for you in the budget, and the online service that will be provided free of charge will be available as of next Monday, February 13th. And wanted to give you that update. There will still be a subscription version for those who utilize it for business purposes. but the free version will begin to be available next week. Also wanted just to highlight just a few areas of the executive budget. I think shock is probably the best way that my colleagues and I can describe it at this point. But as currently presented, it's a very impactful budget for counties. I think many of us used the term last year, the budget was county friendly. This year, it could not be further from that, which we appreciated last year. But far and away, the biggest impact, I provided all of you with some information yesterday related to social services and the Medicaid EFNAP funds. This will have an immediate impact annually on St. Lawrence County of $3.08 million. So that is the equivalent of a 6% increase on taxes. An overall $1 billion impact on New York State with counties who don't have answers for how this will be provided. And then made up for with the tax cap still in place. So that continues the discussion. NISAC hosted an informative call on the executive budget proposals. There have been many requests and conversations with the governor's staff with requests for the 30-day budget amendments to be considered, and the challenge that this individual item in the executive budget presents to counties and the challenge. So we'll get more information. If you have any questions on the information I provided, I also shared with you the information on the withhold from 2016 to 2020. That is over $2 million as well. And it's my understanding that would also be kept and not returned to counties as a part of this proposal. Second item I wanted to highlight tonight is a long-awaited increase, 20 years in fact, to see the first increase authorized for assigned counsel or ATB attorneys. However, we can add this to the unfunded mandate column because there's no funding to support this in counties where downstate they would go to $158 per hour, and upstate counties would go, currently we're at $60 and $75 per hour to $119. So there's no support for this financially. Although the challenge that we face is continuous recruitment of attorneys in this area to take cases. So it is something we're in favor of from a rate perspective. The question was also posed with regard to the ongoing Pearl Herring funds that have been set aside for criminal matters, and these funds could not be used, at least as we understand today, could not be used to fund those increases. And then the last item, I would like to, if the chair will oblige, recognize the county attorney to speak to the changes proposed in the executive budget with regard to entering tax foreclosure. Steve?
Thank you. As the board is aware, we have, over the course of the last several years, utilized excess funds received at the time of the auction to put towards commercial abatement, to put towards now the residential blighted property program. To identify them as excess funds is somewhat of a misnomer. If you look collectively at the amount of money that is expended, the amount of administrative resources that are dedicated to the activities of the tax collection, the tax enforcement, and the auction itself, the county rarely breaks even, let alone exceeds that which is owed. The proposal under the governor's budget would require that where a municipality engages in an interim and forecloses upon a property, that it is required to set aside any money that exceeds the specific tax that has been levied on that property at the auction and return that amount to the owner of the property or the former tax delinquent. And if they do not collect it, to turn it over to the comptroller's office. And if it is not collected under a certain amount of time, the state will keep that. Now, what this means for us is that on those properties that we foreclose upon where there's a $50,000 delinquency and we earn $60,000 at the auction, $10,000 will be set aside and then ultimately turned over to the comptrollers, and we get to keep that $50,000. Pays no attention to the fact that the vast majority of our properties that go to auction get well under that which is the delinquent tax. Nor does it include the administrative costs of the activities that were engaged. Setting aside the fact that whoever concocted this proposal really doesn't understand that under the real property tax code, we've already made the towns and the villages whole. If the decision with Ogdensburg holds, we will be making the city of Ogdensburg whole as well. So the only taxing jurisdiction that potentially is harmed by this decision is the county. And is odd from the standpoint that the money that they're talking about, this excess money that they're talking about, does not take into consideration all of the activities regarding collection, the administrative functions, and the good that counties like St. Lawrence County have engaged in rededicating any funds that is left over at the end of the auction towards a community good, towards the blighted property programs that we've been engaged in last 8 years. So this too could easily be construed as a money grab. A money grab if that excess money is not claimed by the tax delinquent. It's highly likely that will be the case as tax delinquents abandon the property and flee. That money will be turned over to the state. If it sits long enough, the state.
Any questions on those 3 items?
Steve, if I could.
Yeah.
What's being done to address that? I mean, it's nice that.
I know NISAC is aware of it. I have spoken to Pat Cummings, their general counsel. I've also had an opportunity to speak to several of our state elected representatives so that they are aware. I did have an opportunity to meet Senator Walczyk on the ramifications of that type of legal change. I mean, my concern is that it's so nuanced that the average person doesn't engage in the property tax law business on a daily basis. They're not going to understand the significant impact. You all regularly engage in it. I regularly engage in it. But the average individual that's out there, really, that's something that probably wouldn't even catch on their radar. It's very concerning to me, and I'm hoping that I am at least expressing clearly how very concerning it should be to others.
Ready?
Mr. Chair, can we ask the county attorney to draft a resolution to bring to the next committee meeting, expressing our outrage over this latest cash grab so that we can pass it on to our elected state officials and make them aware of how this is bad public policy. Counties are creatures of the state, created to carry out programs and policies of the state, and for the state to continue in so many instances to take the money that we need desperately to carry out the services that they ask us to perform is bad public policy and a terrible way to treat one of New York State government's most important partners. So I would like, if we could get a resolution, I'll be happy to be put on there as a sponsor.
And absolutely no concern with it. I don't know about anyone else. Any other discussion? We've always been considered the poster child for contaminated flooded properties. And now all of a sudden, we're redheaded stepchild. It's crazy. Crazy. Oh, it's Cole.
Hi. If I could, I would add a little bit of background also to that. I was unable to attend my treasurer's meeting that was held in Syracuse last Friday. Excuse me. And can I make sure that you can hear me? I'm wearing earbuds. Okay. So this was, as you can imagine, a very hot topic, and there are a lot of unhappy treasurers, tax collectors around the state. Our organization is gathering information and also plans on trying to voice ours and pursue NISAC to pursue this for us as well. I'm not sure. I know that our comments are due, I think, by the end of next week to them, but we very strongly disagree with this as well. And I'm not sure if when Mr. Bunton was explaining what this means for us, every year when we hold our auction, we kind of sort each parcel goes into, I'll simplify it into 2 piles. If based on the taxes owed on it and the sale price. So we have very large number of properties that are, in the loser pile, much more taxes owed than what we've sold them for. And then we have the pile where, we come ahead on it. When we report the results to you, when I report them to you of the auction, it's a net of those two piles. So it's a bigger positive than what you see. I believe my average last summer when we were talking about funding and establishing the blighted property reserve was about $500,000 for the last 4 years. Excuse me. That's net of the losses. So we're talking, we could be looking at $1 million in losses and giving away $1 million having to return on the good side. So they're bigger numbers than the net impact is what I'm trying to explain. And I'm not sure if that makes sense to you or not, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out for me. There's a lot of questions about how we would actually administer something like this. So that's kind of what the Treasurers Association, the County Treasurers and Fiscal Officers Association is trying to get together a list of all the holes in it and all the what ifs and what types of administrative costs that we'll be able to do as well against it. But it is sounding a lot like it's a done deal. So we're very concerned too, and I appreciate you taking this up. Thank you. Yes.
This certainly sounds like a case where county isn't able to win, state can't lose. And you're absolutely right. We need to object to this as strongly as we can. So yes, let's do that.
This makes me think that some of the required reading for Foes and Power in Albany must be the Merchant of Venice.
Any more discussion? Okay, we'll move on to old, new business, any old business? Mr. Reagan.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in passing, those of you who are interested in the Battle of Ogdensburg, I'll be announcing it again this February, and I'll be at the corner of Riverside Avenue and Franklin Street as the British Redcoats begin their move through the city, and I'll be providing the play-by-play as the American forces bravely stand up to them. So wear your walking shoes, dress warmly, and the end of the battle will be when the Joseph York, the St. Lawrence County Sheriff at the time, stood alone against the British forces at the corner of Ford and State Street. And even though he saw the British massing for a charge with their bayonets, he stood there against them. And the British commander shouted out to his troops, "There stands a man too brave to shoot," and they instead took him prisoner. The next day on Sunday, the battle will take place at Lighthouse Point, where you won't have to walk through the streets, but actually until you've seen those troops going through the streets of Ogdensburg in combat, it's a really interesting experience. So those of you who have small children or grandchildren, it's a great way to introduce them to American history.
Any more old business? Mr. Lightfoot.
I'd just like to point out that on Wednesday, February 8th, BOCES has two propositions up on their ballot. One of them deals exclusively with St. Lawrence County, and that's for the sale of the White Hill Tower and the grounds, 4 acres that it sits on. They want the authority to sell that to the county for $1. for our use by the Emergency Services Department. Typically, these BOCES elections do not draw a lot of voters. But I think that we as legislators owe it to ourselves and to the people of the county to appear and vote for this resolution or proposition so that St. Lawrence County and its residents would benefit by a tower that's already in place at an ideal location. So bring that to your attention. The polls are open from noon until 8. And voters can vote at the BOCES in Canton, Norwood, Ogdensburg, and Fowler at the facilities that BOCES has there. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we'll tag her, had her hand up.
That's okay, Mr. White would announce where the voting was located.
Mr. Reagan.
Mr. Chair, can we ask the county administrator to put out a press release urging the public to support this to help ensure that we have safe communities and ensure that our emergency services people are able to communicate with each other. I think sometimes people, when they do go to these things, they'll just go and vote no without really understanding what all is happening. And I think if they're aware that this affects public safety and is to the benefit of our emergency responders, that to see the benefit of it and support it.
The new business. New business. We have a need for. Oh. Sure.
So I went to the Intercounty Legislative Committee of the Adirondacks via Zoom, which is a great way to go because otherwise it's hundreds of dollars in gas to drive there. One of the things that they spoke about, because they have serious concerns, is last month Kathy Hochul pledged to create 800,000 new housing units over the next 10 years and to sort of hand out where these housing units are supposed to go. They're concerned because this mandation is going to increase the amount of housing permits that each county is going to have to put out. They believe that it's an intrusion into zoning and housing permits and county's home rule about where they want housing to be, not want housing to be. So they're watching that as they think that it is going to be a problem for some places just to build the infrastructure. Like we're going to tell Lake Placid that they have to put 100 houses up. Where are they going to put their infrastructure? And by the way, if you get assigned X number of houses, you're responsible for the infrastructure. So they're concerned about that. They did talk about sales tax, hoping for the permanency of the extra penny. I think since then something has happened. They said we are in recession, year end 2022. Sales tax was up some, but just because of the inflation and how much everything costs because of all the mandations that they have. They said that basically what happens with sales taxes, the state kind of monitors your sales tax and watches your budget. And if you're up $5 million in sales tax this year, you can bet that next year you're going to be looking at what mandated things they can put out and hand you because they know you have the extra money to take care of it. And they basically shift us the costs because they can't control their spending. They are talking about the opioid abatement board and that there were like 5 counties that had not applied for the funding that was available. St. Lawrence County applied early, by the way. James on that. And then there was mental hygiene, legal service fees. Our county took care of that too. And then the district attorney, there is something coming where they're going to be able to file asking for reimbursement for the cost of discovery. There's a letter coming out of NISAC that's going to support us being able to ask, you know, we have to take care of all this stuff. There's an extra cost to the discovery that's extra that we didn't used to have to produce in the way that we do now. You only have so long to put it together. And then they talked a lot about banning gas appliances while you're trying to do all that. And basically, they were very happy with the trails that we have up in this spot. They'd like a through our entire, you know, district that goes to this legislative committee. They would like to be able to put together all the trails somehow. So that's something that they're going to talk about. The next inter-county meeting is going to be at NISAC during lunch, so I will not be there for that.
Any other committee reports? For the nation.
Real quick, we had our Office to the Aging Advisory Board meeting this morning. And I know it's way out there in the future, it seems like a long ways away, but Monday, July 24th, it's going to be the Seniorama. It's going to be back at the Bingo Palace, you've seen it. So put it on your calendars. And the other thing is the shingles vaccine. I had heard anecdotally that anyone that was over 65 on Medicare, effective January 1, you get the shingles vaccine no charge. And Jolene happened to be there today, and I asked her about that, and she, if you're 65 and older on Medicare, you no longer have to pay your shingles vaccine, which is very expensive. I know there's not many in here that are over 65.
I don't want to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Executive session, is there a need for executive session?
There is for litigation, negotiation, and personnel, which is the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, or dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
Is there a motion to go into executive session? Ms. Kearns, second by Ms. Lightfoot. Hey, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes? Yeah. Second line.
And Chair's appointment. Soil and Water Conservation Board of Directors.
Motion.
Second, adjourn. David.